The show where we help you stop worrying and start winning in all areas of life. I'm your host, Doug Fitzgerald. Thank you so much for being here today. We deeply appreciate you and that you're here with us. And all of us here at the KLAN studio want to welcome everyone joining us on Facebook Live as well. It's a great and fun way to watch us work behind the scenes as we do our crazy things. And man, this is just like it's like being in a kitchen here, right? So you got Josh working on the board. You got Johnny working. Speaking of, Johnny, you're our Facebook producer. Thank you for getting us out on the metaverse. We appreciate that. You are a huge help in getting us set up. And speaking of Josh, welcome back.
It's good to be back.
Like you're among the living today.
Yes, yeah. It was like we were so proud too because it was like 2 years almost. We had dodged the Rona.
Oh no,
we were dodging it like the Matrix, and it finally caught up.
I
but
just thought you were playing hooky.
I mean, yeah, right.
You know,
missed this. Now, luckily, it wasn't bad on us, and we were, that Crystal and I are vaxxed and boosted, and Grayson unfortunately can't get the vaccine yet, but it didn't hit him hard. We had very mild symptoms.
Good.
But obviously, I couldn't be in here either way.
Right.
I don't want to give it to y'all.
But you made it through.
I made it through.
You're a survivor.
Yep.
And we appreciate that. We really missed you. We've had some great shows over the last few weeks. Last week, I know you watched and chimed in, especially afterwards, after each show. And I want our listeners to know this as well. Both Josh and Johnny just are tremendous assets to the show. They believe in our message and what we're providing for our listeners. But Josh, after every show, even though you were sick at home for a couple of the shows, we would FaceTime live with you and just to kind of go over, recap the show. A lot of learning experience through that process as well. So, yeah thank you for doing that as well.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it
was not just, I had to be out. It was what it was, but, I might as well. It did give me an opportunity, a really good opportunity to see things from the other side and to learn, what it's like to be a viewer.
Well, and that's good because I'm always right here. Like, I can't do it from the live side, so I'm glad you could.
Yeah.
And you were gracious enough to me. You could have said, man, you could have said anything you wanted.
Format works.
So, yeah.
Yeah, none of those formats work, and we had to change everything.
I tell you what, last week's show was really good. We had Billy the Kid and Dan Delgado on. Both of them are entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and also Billy has his own book out. Along with being a musician. And so if you haven't had a chance to go back and listen to that show or you didn't hear us live last week, I highly recommend that you do that. You check us out on all podcast platforms. Josh, how can people get connected with us to listen to previous episodes and shows?
We're everywhere podcasts can be found. So, of course, the big one is Apple Podcasts. But if you don't want to use that or you don't have an Apple device, all good. Any podcast app you can find. Spotify, Stitcher, you name it. Just search podcasts. And then once you got your podcast app, you just search One Shot, all one word, One Life, all one word, and you'll find us there.
And there we are.
We're always there, and we always will be.
And we have people listening on the podcast, which is really great. I ran into some people this week checking out the podcast and listening to the previous episodes that we had. So we deeply appreciate that, yes, for our listeners. But here's the thing. Today's show is a special day. You know why?
I know why.
This is our 20th episode, fellas. Number 20. We've had 19 before this, obviously, and we started this show 7 months ago. As we kicked it all off, I couldn't be any more happy than I am right now of how everything has gone to this point, and it's been a tremendous blessing, and we're so excited. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go back and bring on some clips of previous guests that we've had. Every guest we've had has been awesome and provided some great insight, wisdom, inspiration. And so what we thought we'd do is we'd go back and pull out some of those special clips of our guests and what they provided for us. Obviously, they're experts in the areas of money, people, faith, work, health, and our hopes and dreams. And also, we have great stories, inspirational stories of people who have taken advantage of their one life and really use that to not only help themselves, but to really influence in a positive way those people around them as well. So we're really excited about today's show. So let's talk about some of the people that are going to be on that you're going to hear from. We're going to look at each of the areas: money, people, faith, work, health, hopes, and dreams. We're going to bring in an expert in each of those areas with a small clip, talk about that, discuss it amongst ourselves as well. Some of those guests we're going to hear from today: financial expert Michael Kraus. He's been on a couple of times. As a matter of fact, he's had some of the most listened to episodes that we've had because he's talking about money, and people always want to know about that. One of the most emotional guests we've had on, Kristen Christie, our people expert and advocate. We're going to hear from her. Faith expert Josh Luce, work and career expert Chelly Phillips, health expert Dr. Pat Luce, hopes and dreams expert Carrie Oberbrunner, a publisher, talking about writing your own book. But Josh, I know he said a couple of things that really hit home for you, so we're going to have him on, along with the inspirational story from our cancer survivor, 28 years, Caitlin Phelps. She's an amazing woman. The most viewed Facebook show that we have is with Caitlin. Powerful show. So we're going to play clips from each of those. Plus, we're going to have other guests share. We're going to share their multiplier answer, the multiplier question that we have at the end of the show. Share their answers. There's just some great wisdom that they're going to provide. So, good show coming up. Want you to buckle up. And always, if you want to call in or text in, you can do that on the Rick Stein Recognition Hotline, 402-479-1400. We'll also be monitoring that Facebook feed as you're watching us live as well. So feel free to share with us there too. Now, we've got some awesome guests that will be joining us on the One Shot, One Life show over the next couple of weeks. Next Saturday, February 26th, I'm super excited to have my dear friend on. She's an author, speaker, and marriage mentor, Tracy Morrow. So Tracy's going to come on. Tracy debunks the happily ever after stereotype to offer us a fresh perspective on what it takes to have a great marriage. And she's lived it. She's been married over 30 years. She's got 6 kids, 1 new grandson that they're really excited about.
Awesome.
And she's going to share some great tips and advice on how to have that marriage that you've always wanted. Plus, she's launching her brand new book in June called Real Life Marriage. So we want to have her on the show next Saturday. Then, March 5th, former Husker football player and part of the national championship team and motivational speaker Aaron Davis is going to be joining us. Aaron's a great guy. He's a thought leader. He's an expert in the area of attitude. He speaks all over the country to all kinds of organizations that really helps us. He's going to help us really look at how our attitude impacts our professional and our personal lives as well. He's an author too. He's also got a great story. He recently beat cancer as well. And I'm really excited for him to be able to share that story to give us hope and encouragement, especially for people either going through cancer right now or loved ones who are watching them go through cancer. It's going to be a great show that will really be an encouragement. So excited to have both Tracy Morrow and Aaron Davis on the show. All right, well, we're going to wrap up this first segment by looking a little bit at the behind the scenes of how One Shot, One Life got started to begin with. I don't know if people really know how we got started, what the story is, from the very beginning. But back in 2018, I released my Amazon best-selling book, One Shot, One Life. Shortly after that, I started a Facebook live show. I guess we call it a vodcast, right? Video cast. And
I hadn't heard that before.
A vodcast.
Vodcast.
Yeah,
All right, sure.
I think I've heard that before. If not, I guess I made it up. So we can talk about podcasts.
Quick copyright that. That's going to catch on.
So anyway, I brought on experts, exactly what we're doing here, of people in different areas that we talk about. That's been really helpful. Then COVID hit, and we had a great series of shows for parents, all the way from brand new parents to parents of college age and young adults. And during that time, I had the opportunity to meet with the general manager at Broadcast House, Amy Graham. And she just said, hey, if you were to do your own radio show, what would it look like? And so she gave me an opportunity to pitch the idea of One Shot, One Life. And both her and Steve King, who's our program director here at KLIN, operations director as well, we sat down and we talked about it. I talked about One Shot and what my vision is of really bringing in experts in the areas of money, people, faith, work, health, hopes, and dreams, and also bringing in human interest stories that really can be an inspiration for people. And they really liked the idea. But again, COVID hit during that whole time, and so it put the whole conversation on pause. Fast forward to a year ago, February of 2021, Amy reached back out to me and said, listen, now that we've made it through the initial impact of COVID, let's start the discussions again for the show. By June of last year, we had all the details ironed out and signed on to start One Shot, One Life. Our very first episode was July 17th, 2021. And so today marks the 20th show, and we're very excited to be able to, to bring this to our listeners. Now, I'm always grateful for where I'm at, because you can never get anywhere in life without people being around you to support you, to encourage you, to lift you up, to provide opportunity. and feedback. And so I want to thank everybody who really has been a part of this whole process of getting this show started. Jeff Dostal was my dear friend who made the connection between Amy Graham and myself, who got that first initial conversation started. So I want to thank Jeff. Of course, I want to thank our general manager, Amy Graham, Steve King, our program director. And then behind the scenes, getting the whole show set up and designed and developed and all of our cool intros and outros is our assistant program director and sports director, Caleb Henry. He worked his tail off. He still does. I mean, he got all of our audios that we're going to be working with today up and on the computer. I don't know how that stuff works, but Caleb does.
Yeah.
And
He does a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. I mean,
and he works tirelessly. I mean, that guy works his tail off, and we deeply appreciate it.
Yeah.
And he believes in what we're doing. And I appreciate that as well. Kenny Larrabee, our digital director at Broadcast House, gets everything set up from a technology standpoint, got our podcast set up. All of our video streams set up, and so he's just an incredible guy. Again, a guy who works tirelessly behind the scenes.
Yeah, he doesn't. We don't let them shine enough. We should praise them much more.
I know, and
they just do so much, and it's not obvious because they're not in this room right now.
Right.
So yeah,
they're not in front of the public on the air all the time. You
Right.
can't see them. So that's why last week was really fun. It wasn't fun not having you here,
Oh,
Josh.
yeah, you guys had a great time, didn't
But
you?
it was fun having Caleb here because he got to see everything that we do and how we
Yeah.
interact with our guests. And I've worked with Caleb on the morning show, drive time show, and now on One Shot as well. So it's been really fun. So
Absolutely.
Anyway, big thanks to Caleb and Kenny. Also, our amazing sales staff here. They've taken time out of their schedules to get to know what the show is about, what our passion is, and then to look at who can we partner with who would align with what our message is. And so, the partnerships that we've had with our advertisers, which we'll talk about later on in the show, they've just done a tremendous job and still do, really getting our message out to people who can really help partner with us, because we can't do this show without partners. We can't do this show without sponsorships. And we really appreciate our sales team and helping us get that message out. And of course, I have to thank you guys. Josh, Johnny, you guys are incredible people. Here's the thing that I deeply appreciate both of you for. We're friends. I mean, this isn't something where you're coming and doing a job. Number one, we're friends. I consider us family. But number two, you deeply believe in our message of what we're doing at One Shot. So I just want to ask you both to kind of share, just from your perspective, why this message is important and why it's important to get our message out to our listeners.
So for me, I'm so happy to be a part of this, and I believe so much in One Shot because it seems like more and more, and maybe just because I'm getting older and I'm like, it's not like it was back in my day, but it just seems like anymore, especially with social media, there's just so much unhappiness, there's so much, I almost want to say hatred, vitriol, and there's just, everywhere you look, there's so much division and there's so much polarization in the world. And I realize that as, the older I do get, I realize it's more and more important to me to put out into the world the opposite of that. I want to put out love, and I want to put out support and help and information, and all of that ties into what we do here. Because there's nothing behind it. There's no agenda to what we do on One Shot, One Life. We just want to help people.
Right.
And that is why this show has such a big place in my heart, and that's why I'm happy to be here.
Well, we've had a lot of conversations behind the scenes about the direction where we're going. We'll talk about that in a second, but I agree with you. And one of the things that makes me proud when we have our listeners interact with us, and I talk to people and people text me and they email me, they really appreciate that we're coming at it from a positive standpoint. The message from a positive standpoint and providing something that is helpful, because like you said, there is so much in the world right now that's divisive, that's pitting people against each other. We want to pull people together and let them know we appreciate, everybody has a purpose, everybody's important, and we love everybody. And we just want to do our best to serve.
Yeah, and this is real human beings giving advice and information to other real human beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Johnny, what about you?
I had to get everything set up here.
You're working.
So,
He's
yeah,
working.
I'm
like
trying to
he said.
multitask.
Come on, Doug.
But, but no, and so my whole thing is anything I'm working on that I enjoy working on in my personal life with my ring announcing and what I do with the show is generally speaking I'm a fan of everything first. I enjoy them as just a viewer first, and that's no different on how I feel about this show. And so you bring on these guests that are experts in these different areas for your program, and I'm finding myself, because really Josh and I and you I mean, you're the interviewer, but we have a front row seat to really hear the whole story. And I'm finding myself just baffled by some of the things we hear, and I know especially in the area of money, like that really speaks to me because I'm terrible with money, and I've always been terrible with money. And I know when we've had Michael Kraus on before, and we'll get to that, there's so many things he says and like pieces of advice he gives, and I'm like, whoa, it's that simple. Like, I could do that myself, and that's what I love about this show, is I find myself being able to connect to it, whether it's, hey, I agree with everything said here, or, wow, that is advice I really need to take going forward. And that's first and foremost what will always stick out to me each and every week on this show.
Well, I appreciate that, and we're all learners here, right? I mean, I don't have it figured out. And I think a lot of times people think the hosts or people who have shows got everything figured out, and that's not true. Number one, but hopefully we're providing guests. I'm learning all the time from our experts, and we've got good people. We're getting good people that truly are experts of what in their field that I truly believe in and know that they have proven systems for. Otherwise, I wouldn't have them on.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll get caught up in the conversation, forget,
it's like,
I got to push buttons.
Oh, crud,
and
I got a button over here.
Yeah.
What's going on? So, well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for being part of the show. I'm looking forward to the future. Speaking of the future, people have asked, what do we want to do? We want to continue to grow our listener base. We want to continue to partner with companies and businesses that believe in our message so we can continue to get it out to the world. If you want to be a part of that, you're part of a business or company that you want to align yourselves with us, simply email me at doug@klin.com, doug@klin.com. One day, we want to get syndicated. We'd love to take this to the masses beyond where we're at.
Oh, yeah.
And we've also talked about putting on a live conference. I mean, with the experts that we bring in, there's no reason why we couldn't put on a live conference and bring in all people from all over the country and eventually just have a great conference that really speaks to people and provides that great information. So that's kind of our desire as we look forward.
Might I say, I literally had a dream that we were doing this show in a stadium.
Hey, yes, you did. So
That's right.
Who knows? We might get to that point. That would be absolutely awesome. So, all right, well, we're going to take our first break here, and when we come back, we're going to hear from an expert that has been with us a couple of times now. He's been part of some of the most listened to shows, and Johnny was just talking about him. Financial expert Michael Kraus, along with a couple of other special guests. And now the Rick Stein Recognition Hotline is open, 402-479-1400. And you can also comment on our Facebook Live feed as well. We'll be monitoring that. You're listening to One Shot, One Life on Lincoln's #1 news and talk station, 1400 and 99.3 KLIN.
One Shot, One Life is presented by Lincoln Coin and Bullion, buying and selling precious metals such as silver, gold, platinum, and palladium. We buy and sell coins and bills, both domestic and foreign. You're listening to 1400 and 99.3 KLIN. Cue the Huskers, home and away.
Welcome to KLIN.
Now stop worrying and start winning. This is One Shot, One Life on 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, welcome back to One Shot, One Life. I am your host, Doug Fitzgerald. We want to thank you again for being here. We also want to thank our amazing show sponsors. Oh, what an incredible group of local and regional businesses that we have that believe in our message. We can't do this without them. We want to thank each one of them. Our title sponsor, Lincoln Coin and Bullion, my trusted bullion experts for over a decade. They deal in gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning here in Lincoln. They've proudly served this city for over 25 years. They do an incredible job. You see their vehicles all over the city. We appreciate them. And KC Smile, Dr. Headley and his staff completely transformed my smile. They gave me a whole new grill, so to say, back in November. And I couldn't be more thankful, grateful, and excited. You can check out my transformation if you go to oneshotonelife.com. I've got the pictures there. And boy, I'm telling you, if you need some cosmetic dental work, they are the place to go. Just a short trip down to Overland Park, Kansas. It took me 3 trips, and I literally had a brand new smile. Totally transformed everything. So we want to thank KC Smile as well. If you and your business would like to partner with us at One Shot, One Life, you can do so by simply contacting me at doug@klin.com, doug@klin.com. And we also have the best listeners around, too. I couldn't do the show without our listeners. We deeply appreciate it. Every week since we started the show, I've personally been contacted by one or more listeners. From the past week, I want to thank Michael, Dustin, Anna, Properties for You, which is a business, I believe, and a few others who directly reached out to us and also to our guests from last week through email, text, and social media. We also got a Facebook shout-out from Mark as well. So we appreciate you listening in and for your loyalty in being our listeners here at One Shot, One Life. We can't do this without you. All right, today we're celebrating our 20th show by highlighting some of our most memorable guests. We don't have enough time to play clips from every guest. I wish we did. But we're going to pull out some amazing clips here that I think are really going to be beneficial to you. And because of the hard work of our team, you're going to be able to enjoy previous episodes as well. All you have to do is check out our podcast. You can go to kln.com or check out any podcast platform, and you can listen to the more in-depth interview or the full show of the clips that we have. So we're going to get started here. We're going to start out looking at the area of money. Now, we're going to look at each area: money, people, faith, work, health, hopes, and dreams. And so we will play a clip from guests from each one of those. Today we're going to start out with money. Michael Kraus is on. He's the Vice President of Plan A Wealth Management. He's a financial expert. He's one of our very first guests back in July 17th, and he's been on the show twice. He's had some of the most listened to shows that we have because we're dealing with, the number one area that people worry about, and that's the area of money. In this clip, though, we talk about debt. Debt is something that impacts most people in this country, and it's continuing to grow out of control. So Michael shares his tips and ideas of how to handle debt. So let's jump right into debt. So we've talked about budgeting and trying to reallocate funds to have that surplus money. Now we have a little bit of an emergency fund set aside. Let's start paying off some debt. How do we do that? Like, I have people always saying, well, where do I start?
Doug, there's 2 approaches to paying off debt, and one is for those nerds out there, which I am one of, right? You look mathematically and say, hey, highest interest rate, I'm paying that off. I'm tired of paying that much. However, one thing we've learned from behavioral finance is that people are not rational, right? We're emotional beings, and so sometimes for a number of people, it makes sense to pay off the smallest debt first to get some momentum. So you start moving forward and say, I can do this. I can do this. I knocked out that $300 debt. Let me take on the $800 debt. And you begin to snowball those debt payments into each successive one. So I found for the majority of people, even though I lean toward the nerd side, paying off the smallest debt first generally works a lot faster for the majority of people.
I agree, and it works, and it is. There's something once you get into it, although you got to get over the shock of how much debt you're in, right? You're like, oh, I'm in so much debt. But once you get over that and you start working on it and you start achieving some success with it, it gets exciting. I mean, like you said, I'm a nerd too. So I love this whole idea. And as you start working with people and get excited about it, they get excited about it, and they start celebrating their successes when they pay them off. That's a key point.
Absolutely.
Celebrate.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to say here, no matter where you're at and how much debt you're under, it's not too late.
Right.
You are not broken. You're not dumb. It's not too late to start. Starting now will put you in a better shape for your financial future. So get started.
One of the questions that I got earlier this week was, when you look at paying off debt and investing, someone said, well, should I pay off debt before investing in something like a 401k? So let's say you're at a job, You've got a 401k, maybe you have some matching going on. Michael, what's your philosophy in regards of debt versus investing at that point? Because if you're looking at this is the average person. You're looking at 20. I'm doing some quick addition here. 20 over $300,000 right here in debt, right? Just for the average person in America. So, what do you think in regards to paying off debt versus the investing side?
One of the problems we have with when choosing to invest versus pay off debt is that the rate of return you're going to get on your investment is unknown.
Right.
It's always going to happen in the market.
Especially
right?
now.
However, most of those debts, we know how much you're paying, and it's usually pretty high. So there seems to be a lot more momentum that you can get by paying off that debt. The only exception is if your company does offer a match and you want to take advantage of that because it's free money. I can totally understand that. It doesn't give me heartburn. But any extra money should not be going to that investment. We got to get rid of that debt because getting rid of that will help you get further faster.
That's Michael Kraus. If you want to listen to the full episode, which I highly recommend, especially if you want to look in the area of money and get some great tips on budgeting, how to pay off debt, how to save up money, check that episode out on One Shot, One Life. All right, the second area that we look at is the area of people. And this one was one of the most emotional episodes that we had with Kristen Christie. She's a suicide prevention warrior. She was a 2018 Air Force Spouse of the Year, 2019 Top Military Influencer, and 2020 Remarkable Woman finalist. She speaks all over the world. She's a master resilience trainer, but she talks about suicide and the impact of suicide on our culture because she lost her husband to suicide. And she shares this in the show. Her son tried to commit suicide, but he lived. Then she had another son because of the effects of her husband's suicide. He ran away and never seen him again. Because of that, she has made it her life mission to help people in the area of depression and suicide. And she's helped get what's going to be in effect later this year, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline 988 put into effect. Right now, that number is 800-273-8255. So she was on the show July 24th of 2021. She had such a powerful and impacting story. And in this clip, Josh, you asked Kristen a powerful question about how to handle depression, mental health, and suicide. And this is a powerful clip with her answer.
It's not easy to reach out. And I grew up in a home where counseling is expensive. And we don't medicate because we need to man up. And we need to get over this because medication is a Band-Aid. Medication is almost the easy way out. And I think it's very important for people to know that that's not the case. This is either due to an old trauma or it's due to a chemical imbalance. You can't do it alone. You can't just cowboy up and get past this stuff. You need the help of a trained professional. You need the help of somebody that you don't know that you can call, because anybody will tell you, oh, it'll get better. Oh, it's just right now you feel sad. It's okay. You're worth it, which is all good stuff to hear, but that also is a Band-Aid, and you really have to dig into it. You really have to talk to a professional, and that's why I think what you're doing is so important.
Yeah. So, Josh, I think we need a new definition for man up and cowboy up.
Yeah.
We need to say to man up and cowboy up and to get through life. We were not made to do life alone. It really is borrowing courage from someone and making that step to get better where when you can, and when you can't do it yourself, be surrounded by people or one person that can help you get through that can carry you through that.
And that doesn't mean you're weak.
No, absolutely. It takes courage to ask for help, and it means you're strong. And I want to say, so HOPE is another acronym. Hold on, pain eases. It doesn't end necessarily. My pain won't end, even if I find my son. And that's okay, because I have people in my life that are the capital E that help that pain ease. But HOPE also means help one person every day. And I want to challenge your listeners today. Help one person every day. And sometimes that one person has to be yourself. Use the 1,440 minutes you have every day and take a portion of that for yourself for self-care. Because guess what? Because there's hope for tomorrow, there's power in today. And you have the choice on how you help that person. That
was one of the most emotional and powerful episodes that we had. That was Kristen Christie, suicide prevention warrior. If you want to hear her story, just go back into our podcast and listen to it. She was on July 24th. I just want to share with people, if you're struggling with mental health, if you're struggling with thoughts of suicide or depression, we want you to get help. We want you to go to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The current number is 800-273-8255. And later on this year, because of Kristen Christie's work, there will be a National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number, 988. And we're super proud of Kristen, and hopefully we'll have her on the show in the future. It's time to take another break, and we've been really having a good time celebrating the amazing guests here on our 20th show. When we return, we're going to hear from 3 more amazing guests in the area of work, health, and our hopes and dreams. These are really good as well. You're not going to want to miss it. You're listening to One Shot, One Life on 1499.3 KLIN.
One Shot, One Life is presented by Lincoln Coin and Bullion, where we treat each customer with respect and dignity. A customer who purchases $50,000 of gold is not treated differently than a customer selling a gold filling. Every customer uniquely contributes to our business success. You're listening to 1499.3 KLIN. You only have one shot in this amazing one life, helping you make every single day count. This is One Shot, One Life on 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, welcome back. It's 33 past the hour. I'm your host, Doug Fitzgerald, and thank you so much for joining us on One Shot, One Life. We want to thank our title sponsor, Lincoln Coin and Bullion. Love them. They are awesome. Pat, Courtney, Katie, and Aaron are a critical part of my financial team. I've worked with them for over a decade. They deal in gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. In case you don't know what the word bullion means, that's what that means. I think it's important to have that part of your...
Those are little cubes, right, that you use to make soup?
No, not chicken.
That's not what they're investing
or beef. In? But, I suppose, if you go there, they may want to accommodate that along with, But gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and I just think they're incredible people. Here's why: they're not just there to sell you something if you walk in. All right, they're there to educate you first, see how it, that area of what I call true money can impact your life and your family's life to make a good financial decision. They've been around for over 15 years, and they work with people only one-on-one because they want to give you that attention. So all you have to do is call them up for a one-on-one appointment, 402-327-2853, 402-327-2853. And if you go in, tell them that you heard about them on One Shot, One Life. We would deeply appreciate that. Today we're celebrating our 20th show by highlighting some of our most memorable guests. And by the way, we've got somebody on the line, and this must be really important because this is my wife, Tammy, and I don't know exactly what she's going to share, but obviously if she's calling in, it's got to be important. So Tammy, you are on One Shot, One Life. Welcome.
Hey, I just want to call in and say congrats on your 20th show, boys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I don't know if you guys know, but when I first met Doug 30 plus years ago, he was a handsome DJ on the radio. It's so cool that he is back in the seat with this radio gig, and I know he's having a blast.
I am.
God has just made him for this. It's such a blessing to watch, and I love seeing you guys have so much fun together. And so, Doug, I just want to tell you, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
And all you've done with the One Shot Show. And I love the relationship that you and Josh and Johnny now have. And just aside from watching you all three on the show via Facebook while I'm doing my chores on Saturday mornings, I also love, sometimes I get to hear your little group audio texts at home. And they just make me laugh and just thank God that Doug has two guys by his side, just supporting him and have the same passion and just share the belief in One Shot. So thank you guys for supporting my hubby.
I was going to say, I really say we are a family here. I really feel that way, and I think I speak for all four of us in this case. So.
That's wow, Tammy. Thank you so much for those words. I don't know if there's a dry eye in this room right now. That's so nice to hear. And yeah, you're the best. You're just the best.
Aw, well, thanks.
Thank you.
You guys are the best.
Well, thank you so much for your support.
Yep.
And for being there for Doug and being just the amazing woman you are.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Belle, for calling. I call her Belle. So thank you for calling in and sharing that. I had no clue what you were going to say, and I honestly didn't. And so, I appreciate you. I can't do it. One of the things we talk about in marriage, and I know Tracy Morrow is going to be on next week, and one thing she'll talk about is, our roles as husband and wife or our spouses is my role is to support you in what God's gifted you to do, and your role is to support me and cheer me on, and you do that every single time. As a matter of fact, guys, you don't know this, but every time I walk in the door after a show, she gives me a standing O right as I walk in.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's the support that you give. So, Tammy, thank you. I love you. I appreciate that.
I love you.
All right.
Okay. Have a great rest of your show, guys.
All right. Well, how are we supposed to carry on after that, Josh? I mean, here we go. So, we want to move on and go. By the way, I literally had no idea that she was going to call in.
So, yeah, I answered the phone. I was like, Doug, it's Tammy. And you were like, well, really?
What does she need? Like, is there something wrong? That's what I initially thought. So, anyway, thank you so much, Tammy. We really appreciate that. And then it just goes to show we are family, and God's got a bigger plan with all this than we can envision. Speaking of God and faith and how important that is to, I know, for Tammy and myself, we brought on Josh Luce. He's the associate lead pastor at Berean Church here in Lincoln. And one of the areas that we focus on is faith. And I don't want somebody to come in here, an expert to come in here just to push their faith on us. That's been very clear. I've talked to my staff about this. When I have somebody in the area of faith, because it's so touchy for some people, I want it to be somebody who we can have a raw, transparent conversation and explore the whole topic with people, not to push it on people. And so Josh was just that perfect guest. He's a really good guy. He's a great husband and father. He was the perfect person for that raw, transparent, non-judgmental discussion on faith. He was on our show October 9th. And we had a great discussion. And in this clip, Josh shares more specifically about how to know God's will for your life. All right, let's get into then God's will. How, because I've gotten this question a lot. You probably have as a pastor as well. I know in the book we did. How do I know God's will for my life?
Doug, I love this conversation. This gets me fired up because I think it's a key conversation in life. And I heard somebody say once, you ask the wrong question, you'll get the wrong answer. And so I think part of it is just looking at the question we're asking.
Right.
Should the question be, how do I know God's will for my life? Or should the first question actually be, how do I know God's will? Because as people, we're often self-focused and self-centered. And so often what we're asking in that question is, I have a plan and I want God to validate my plan. I want him to be some kind of genie to make my plans happen. And that's the wrong question to be asking. What we should be asking, if we're trying to find the ultimate purpose in life, is, God, what is your plan? What is your will? And then we adjust our lives to that plan. So in that, we've got to just start thinking through, where do I get my information, right? We all operate from a belief system. So I think first step is finding the ways that God speaks to you. So I would say the first step is reading the Bible. That's God's word. And so in finding what he wants to do in your life, you would read his words to you. They're his words that are alive through every century. They're unchanging throughout all of history. And so what is the truth that he's asking me? And whenever I find areas where he's asking me to do something, I change and I start to do that. I'm not just reading to get intellectual information. I'm actually reading to have an experience with God and continue to follow him in that. So that'd be the first place to start, right? And you can't do that unless you have a relationship with the God of the universe, with Jesus Christ. So the first step would be saying, God, I want to have a relationship with you, and I want to have an experience with you in a way of knowing what you're asking me to do every day. I think a lot of times we look at God's will as something out there that I have to find and seek.
Right.
It's something down the road, and I hope I don't miss it. But God's will is actually every day as I wake up and surrender my life to him and say, God, what do you want me to do today? And I start to read his word. I start to pray and ask that. I take opportunity to talk with others in the church and listen. And then for those that have trusted in Jesus Christ, his Spirit within us will speak to us as well.
And some people feel like they've missed out on life. You know what I'm saying? They feel like, God, I'm not good enough, or they hear the voices in their head from what other people have told them that they're not worthy enough, that God can't use me. Can God use anybody?
I think that's the mistake that we come, is that we have to somehow have it all together before we come before God. But God meets us just as we are. I think also going back to your original question, what's faith, right?
Right.
I would say religion would be, what do I have to do to be right with God? What do I have to do? But faith or trust in Jesus would be, what has he done to make me right with him? And so in that case, I would completely pivot. I would say I'm not really religious, but I am a huge believer in a relationship with the God of the universe. And in that, he would meet me right where I'm at and show me what he's done so that I can have a relationship with him. It's not based on me being perfect or the mistakes that I've made. It's based on what he's done for me.
Josh Luce, the Associate Lead Pastor of Berean Church. Great conversation, transparent, raw, about faith. We were just talking while Josh was sharing. We need to get him back on. So if you want to hear that episode, October 9th is when he was on. All right, the last clip we're going to play in this segment here, we always talk about people's hopes and dreams, and one of the things that most people have a dream to do is to write a book one day. And so we had Kerry Oberbrunner on, owner and CEO of Igniting Souls Publishing Agency and the Ethos Collective. He's a Wall Street Journal and USA Today best-selling author, and he puts on a conference every year. I've been part of what Kerry has done for a few years now. He's helped me out tremendously. We had him on the show on October 23rd, and when I was talking to the show about the show with Josh, he's like, you know what? There was a clip there where Kerry just shared something that really impacted my life. So I pulled that clip out. This is something that really resonated with you, Josh, about having a passive impact on people's lives.
I'll tell you what, Doug, your book's incredible, One Shot, One Life. Love the radio show, too. But have you ever gotten a letter from someone that says, Dear Doug, you don't know me, but I read your book and it changed my life?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is. There's nothing like it. Yeah. I call it passive impact. Everyone wants passive income, making money while you're asleep. What if you could make impact while you sleep? Well, guess what? When you write a book, you've created something eternal. C.S. Lewis is still changing people's lives, even though he's passed, many, many decades ago. Yeah,
it's impacting. And we've got just a couple of minutes in this segment. I want to get back to how, get to, how to earn income from your book. Yeah. But first of all, when people write a book and publish it, the first thought I think most people have is like, I'm going to make millions from this, right? And the reality is that's just not the truth. Yeah. Unless you're a big celebrity. Yeah. All right. So once you get published, then the question is, how do I earn income from this? What can I do with that message that I need to get out to the world?
Yeah. I think the first thing I encourage authors to say is that your book is a medium of impact. And so right there, let's unpack that. Well, if you write a book, you could actually do 4 versions. You could do audiobook, ebook, hardcover, softcover. So right there, there's 4 ways, one message, 4 products. And audiobook listeners are very different than ebook listeners that are different than hardcover and softcover. So right away, when you do your book, I would say do 4 versions. Secondly, you say, you know what? Some people want my book, but then they want the next step. And we teach people that your book is an integrated product suite. And that sounds really fancy. All it's saying is that Apple is one of the most valuable brands on planet Earth because it has iPhones, iPads, iPods, AirPods, you name it. They all integrate. Well, you should have a book that integrates with other impact and income streams. For example, coaching. You can coach around your book. Speaking, you can speak around your book. Yes, even fiction. I have a book called Elixir Project, a teen near future thriller that we turned into a coaching program. You can certify people on your content. You can do workshops. You can do conferences. You can do membership communities. Suddenly, this one product that you created can be consumed in 18 different ways, kind of like water. I mean, you don't just say there's one water bottle and you have to drink one water bottle. You know, you could drink water in so many different mediums. It's the same way with your book. Your book is the start of the funnel. It's the start of the process, but then you have an integrated product suite.
Now, I only bring people who are experts and have a proven plan. And the reason why I brought you on is because I have utilized your marketing system with my book. That's how I started. So once we wrote One Shot, then I created an online course. Of course, we had the audio book, the ebook, all that online course, mastermind group coaching, right?
Oh, yeah.
One-on-one coaching that I do, seminars that I put on that I make money from.
Now I need to add radio.
Now you need to add radio. So 19 streams of income, right? That you can
Absolutely.
add. So, all right.
No, but seriously, that is a good, I like that.
We're going to put that in there.
We are going to put that
Now
in
you have a brand new book out.
I do.
And it relates to this. What's it called and what's it about?
Your book is not a business card, because many times people say, oh, just write a book real quick. It's just a business card. What do people do with business cards?
Chink.
Throw them in the trash.
Yep.
I don't want my book to be thrown in the trash. Business cards change landfills. Books change lives.
I like that.
You like that?
That was a good one. I hadn't heard that one.
Oh, yeah.
You're good, man.
Thank you.
That's Kerry Oberbrunner, owner and CEO of Igniting Souls Publishing Agency. And I just love that idea. Josh, why did that impact you, that whole idea of passive impact?
I think about that actually quite a bit because, like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, like the older I get, the more I realize that I want to like push happiness, and I want to have a positive impact. I want to leave the world a little bit better than the way I found it. And that struck me so much because, I mean, you hear all these high performers that have their podcasts and their shows, and they're all over social media, perform, efficiency. Right. And they're always talking about passive income. You know, how much money did you make last night while you were asleep? But what's more important than that? Having an impact, bettering people. And if you can do that in your sleep, that's like, I mean, that's the goal, right? Yeah. Like, how much better can it get?
And I think for people to, you know, I think for all of us to understand, I know I've got a book, Kerry's got a book, we know the impact of that, we've got a radio show, podcast, but you don't need that to impact people passively. Simply having a relationship with somebody, walking alongside people, step by step, we call it having a success partner, that provides a ripple that you can't fathom. So if you walk alongside people, help them, encourage them, help them see their dreams come to reality, help them during a difficult time. You don't know how that's going to not only change their life, but how it's in turn going to change other people's lives. And I think we all need to understand that even at the most basic level, we can have passive impact.
Even if you have an awesome server for dinner tonight when you go out.
Yes.
And you tell them, hey, you did a great job.
Yep.
Like, you're really good at this.
Yep.
Thank you for being awesome. They're going to carry that for the rest of the night. They're probably thinking about it in days after that.
Yep.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, so if you want to listen to that episode, it's October 23rd. We appreciate Kerry being on. He's another one that we need to get back on the show soon. We're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we'll continue celebrating our 20th show. We're going to hear from the guest who had the most Facebook views we've ever had, Caitlin Phelps. Her story and perspective on beating breast cancer at the age of 28 is so powerful. You're listening to One Shot, One Life on Lincoln's #1 news and talk station, 1499.3 KLIN.
One Shot, One Life is presented by Lincoln Coin and Bullion, where we respect our clients' privacy. We discourage walk-ins to minimize customer overlap and fully encourage all customers to call us to schedule an appointment. We operate by appointment only to offer our customers a discreet and confidential transaction. You're listening to 1499.3 KLIN. helping you tap into the power of the ultimate success formula to win at anything in life. This is One Shot, One Life on 1499.3 KLIN.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on One Shot, One Life. We love having you here with us. I'm your host, Doug Fitzgerald, and we've been celebrating our 20th episode, and I want to get right into this next guest because I don't want to waste any time. Caitlin Phelps is a licensed mental health professional. She has she has the most viewed show that we've had on Facebook and social media. She recently won her battle with breast cancer at the age of 28. In this show, she shares not only her story, but also her tips of how to encourage people going through, the whole disease of cancer in their lives. So listen in. In the first section, we talked about your journey with breast cancer. For this segment, I know you really want to encourage those who are currently going through their own personal battle with cancer and other life-threatening illnesses as well. This doesn't have to be just with cancer, because I know what you're going to share are some great tips. If someone has been diagnosed with an illness, because it's all consuming, like you mentioned, it's mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. Where do you think they should start in trying to navigate through it all?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm so appreciative of being able to share what helped me get through this, and I really hope is an encouragement to others. I want to share first, I know every story is very, very different, and I feel super privileged to be able to successfully navigate treatment and have a successful outcome, but I know many don't have that privilege. So I hope that this is encouraging what helped me, but also want to hold space for others that may not have the same path. So every story is different, and that means every healing path is different, but happy to share kind of what has helped me through. So obviously the biggest thing for me was connection. I firmly believe you're not able to navigate such a devastating, life-altering diagnosis without support. You can't do it alone. I'm incredibly grateful to have the support system that I had, and it was just such a beautiful picture for me to have so many leaning in intentionally and not being afraid of doing that. But I knew early on I had no choice but to receive that support. And I think that was and could be a very difficult thing, to allow yourself to receive help and to allow yourself to ask for help. So I know there could be a temptation to isolate, kind of pretend everything's okay, that you're able to cope with everything, but it is, I think, very, very necessary to allow yourself the openness to receive that help and love. I had an intimate group of people that I felt I was able to be very honest with and very open with about what was going on for me emotionally and physically, and they were so right there, intimately walking through with me, constantly checking in on me, blessing me with their presence, gifts, anything that would help to comfort me.
Can I ask you a question? I had a listener, we were talking about the show, and he said, would you ask Caitlin this? Like, at what point did you feel comfortable with in deciding, like, when you could actually share the news and with who? Because he was very curious, like, at what point do you do that?
Right.
And feel comfortable with it? Because it's got to be difficult even to let people know about it.
Yes. So for me, it was not a choice. On the first day, there was about my family plus probably 4 or 5 people that I knew. They're going to know about it, and they're going to be the people that are walking beside me, and so I'm going to let them know today. I did kind of hold that news pretty tight for a while, just because of the emotional gravity that you have to go through those first couple of weeks. So I chose to publicly share that story probably 3 to 4 weeks after I had been diagnosed, because it gave me the opportunity to get more answers, get more understanding about where I was going, because it is very hard to try to explain and keep everyone updated on what's going on. I ended up creating a social media page for people to follow updates, which was helpful. So that way I didn't feel like I had to have multiple conversations with people. So for me, it wasn't really a choice. I just knew the first day my family and my close friends are going to know about this. And over the first couple of days, I brought an intimate group of people in. But for me, keeping that news private from like the public and many people, I decided to wait for a while just to be able to gain some more answers. So I think it's really different for everyone, but I knew that I wasn't going to be able to hold that on my own in the first couple of days, so I had to bring some people in that were important to me.
And so you talk about that, and you gave me some notes. You talk about that being just connection,
yes,
just vital.
Yes, yeah,
to
absolutely.
getting you through it.
Yes, I think connection both with your support team, family, and friends that you know, and also connection to people who may have gone through it, so you kind of can understand and get some knowledge of people that are either actively fighting it or have fought it, and can kind of give that insight and validation of their experience. I got both of those experiences, which was really helpful.
Such a great show. We want to thank Caitlin Phelps for being on. If you want to listen to that episode, which I highly recommend that you do, that's on August 21st show of 2021. Well, in a couple weeks, we're going to have Aaron Davis on, and next week we're going to have Tracy Morrow on the show. We're excited to have them share about marriage. Aaron's going to talk about just being an expert with attitude and how that can help us. Plus, he's also going to share his story about cancer as well. Well, if you'd like to listen to the podcast of this show or previous shows, you can find them at KLIN.com and all podcast platforms. Simply search One Shot, all one word, One Life, all one word, on your favorite podcast service, and also the video playbacks found at Facebook on 1400 KLIN. Well, I want to thank all of our guests who joined us on our first 20 shows. We appreciate that. We also appreciate the work of our producers, Josh and Johnny. And until next time, take full advantage of your amazing one life and make every single day count.
Thank you for listening to the One Shot, One Life show. Visit OneShotOneLife.com to get a free download of our theme song. While you're there, learn how to connect with Doug on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Go there now, OneShotOneLife.com, and listen every Saturday morning at 11, right here on 1499.3 KLIN. One life.